We're staying next to a literal crack den. I lived in Catania for a few years and worked in hospitality and tourism, so I'm confident I can show you how to spend the perfect day in the city and eat all the best food for less than 40 euros per person. Let's see if I'm right or if after 10 years things have changed. We started with breakfast, and in Catania it's always a great thing because they're really good at pastries here. There's a huge variety and they're all delicious. If I were to suggest places to go for breakfast in Catania, I would say Savia, which is where we also get the arancino, Spinella, which is right next to it. My personal favorite is Magri, but it's a bit outside of the town center, so if you don't want to go all the way there and you want to stay in the town center, I would say Savia, Spinella, or Prestipino. It's right in Piazza Duomo and has the only croissant that Jay liked in Italy for real, because Jay stayed in France 6 years. She never liked Italian croissant whenever we tried croissants outside. This was the first place where she said, whoa, this croissant is proper, so let's go get one.
It's a bit harder and a bit more dry than I remembered it. I think I really need my coffee.
Compared to our last visit 2 years ago, I feel like things have shrinked and prices have gone up. We paid 14 euros for 2 cappuccinos, 2 pastries and 1 orange juice. We would have paid half in other places. Not a great start on our budget goal. I still think Spinella and Magri are better if you have a chance to go there. I guess they're charging us for location because it's a great place to start our visit of Catania, right in the main square. We are in Piazza Duomo, where you can find the most important landmark in Catania, which is the beautiful cathedral of Santa Agata. Santa Agata is the saint protector of Catania, and people from Catania are extremely devoted to her because her relics are said to have saved the city 9 times from Etna eruptions. Especially the veil that Santa Agata used to wear, it's what seems to stop the lava flow whenever it reaches this part of town. So over the centuries, people of Catania knew that whenever the Etna was erupting violently and threatening the existence of the city, they could come here and take refuge close to the veil. The veil stopped the lava flow or even split the lava flow, sparing the church and the people around it. Because of that, people of Catania believe the mere existence of the city is owed entirely to Santa Agata and her protection, and every year they celebrate. One of the biggest street festivals in Italy is the Festival of Santa Agata. There's hundreds of thousands of people here on the streets and it's just wild. And in the Cathedral of Santa Agata we also have the tomb of the composer Vincenzo Bellini with the notes of one of his operas, La Sonnambula. And at the opposite end of Piazza Duomo, you'll find the entrance to street food heaven. You can just take the stairs down and you end up in the fish market, which is one of the most picturesque and characteristic places in Catania. You just like go around, enjoy the colors, the sights, the food and the smells. There's a lot of street food to try. Places that do sandwiches with fresh fish and a lot of things to try, which is what we're gonna do now. We started with a delicious fresh octopus salad that cost us only 5 euros, so 2.50 per person. Finding the next dish was as easy as following the barbecue smell. Here we ordered a mouth-watering tuna steak that was a 10 out of 10.
That was a fatty bite.
So good. It's obviously fresh because the fishmongers themselves, they have the grill and they grill the stuff that they get in the morning. Here you can buy your fish if you want to cook it yourself or they cook it for you. Try to go for a place that has the prices out already so you know the prices, because there's a big tendency of them to overcharge if they see you're a foreigner or they see you're like you're a tourist or they think they see you don't speak Italian. They're gonna try and charge you sometimes even double the price. So watch out for that. If you want to get street food here, there are some places that have like a proper menu outside with the price. Go for those ones. The fish is good, but we also need some carbs. And when you want something that really fills you up, obviously you have to go for an arancino. So now we're gonna go to Savia, which is the best place to get your arancina, and it's also in front of the villa, the park, Villa Bellini. So we'll also have a look around the park and have the rest of our lunch there with the arancini. To reach Savia from here, you'll have to walk 10 minutes on Via Etnea, Catania's main street where you can find shop, bars, pubs and other main attractions like Piazza Università and Stesicoro Square with its Roman ruins.
now we're ready to have the king of Sicilian street food, the almighty arancino from Savia, one of the best arancino places in the whole of Sicily probably. I mean, at least it's my favorite as a Sicilian, I have to say. Sorry Palermo, I like the one in Catania more. Let's dig in. Arancino has to be messy, otherwise it's not arancino.
It is very messy.
The thing about Savia's arancino is that unlike most of Sicily, where the ragu is usually a bolognese sauce with mincemeat, this one has big chunks of meat usually in the
Actually
sauce.
does well.
So it has a different consistency, it's very delicious. I don't eat meat, but I do have very strong memories. I had the vegetarian one. Someone who also in theory doesn't eat meat is making an exception.
Only for this.
Only for this. Arancino is worth an exception. Sorry. After all the sightseeing, obviously you will be thirsty because Catania is an incredibly hot city, especially in summer and spring. It's scorching hot in here, but it also has one of the most refreshing drinks you can find in Sicily. It's called the Seltz, and you can buy them in one of those little kiosks that you're gonna see around. The Seltz is basically a big soda cup with a pinch of salt and lemon, and it's incredibly refreshing.
Wow, that set was very refreshing. Now we're ready to visit Piazza Teatro, where the beautiful opera house Bellini is. And we're ready to move on to the next destination. What we visited and did in Catania so far usually takes more or less half day. I always recommend leaving half day for Aci Castello and Aci Trezza, which are slightly out of Catania, but you can reach them if you don't have a car, also by bus. And are two beautiful small gems right on the coast that we're gonna go and visit now.
And if you're visiting Catania, definitely save a couple of hours during daylight to come to the nearby Aci Castello and Aci Trezza and see the beautiful Norman castle, a castle that is built on lava formations that are 500,000 years old. From here you have a beautiful view on the Cyclope archipelagos from Aci Trezza, which is what we're gonna visit next. Another beautiful place not far away from Catania, the ideal next stop after Aci Castello is Aci Trezza, where you can admire the Faraglioni di Acitrezza or Cyclopes Island. They're called Cyclopes Island because legend has it that the Cyclope Polyphemus threw them angry at Ulysses after he managed to escape his cave. As it's just coming around sunset because the light of the sun hitting the rocks over the sea is just like an incredible, beautiful sight.
From one castle we moved to another for dinner. A few steps away from Castello Orsino we went to Trattoria da Antoni. We had a plate of farfalle with salmon, a typical pasta alla norma from Catania, and a delicious impeppata di cozze.
Oh, they're good. They're very good. And also, the portion is pretty big. The price is very okay.
I can test.
Really happy with the choice. Totally recommend this place in Antonio. It's always busy. You have to reserve, preferably. We were lucky to find the table, but it's worth it.
I think they're using fresh tomato, and this huge chunk of fried aubergine is really meaty. It tastes like very fatty, and when you add everything together, it's pretty balanced. And then this ricotta, it's add a bit saltiness aftertaste. I'd say it's a really good pasta.
Wow, we made it for less than 40 per person. Keep in mind that we don't drink and portions were pretty huge and we shared a lot of them. If you wanna have a full 2-course meals and also have drinks, you'd probably go over to 50 to 60 per person, but still incredibly cheap, especially for the quality and the quantity we got.
The dinner yesterday was good. The reason why we didn't talk about dinner last night is because we discovered we're staying next to a literal crack den. When we arrived at our accommodation, I noticed that the street downstairs there was a mountain of rubbish and there were also small piles of rubbish burning, so people were burning rubbish. And next to it there was a little handwritten sign saying, oh, if you drop rubbish here, you'll see what happens to you. So it felt like a little bit of a threatening place. I did some research, I looked up the local news with the name of the street, and I found out that there's a big abandoned building that apparently is a place where crackheads go all together and get high every night and stay there, and it's creating a lot of problems in the neighborhood. But I'm not sure if they're still there, because 1 month after the owner of our B&B and the other residents complained and the town hall and the police did nothing about it, that building was set on fire. Probably by the residents, so I don't know if they were still there, but overall the area was very, very sketchy and dodgy, so we didn't want to take the camera out. A lesson here would be to put the name of the street where you're staying and look it up on Google News to see if in the street is okay to stay or not, because things can vary. Our street is very close to the city center, it had good reviews, everything looked okay on paper, but from street to street you never know what's gonna happen. So keep that in mind. We also stumbled upon a nice flea market. Today is Mother's Day, so I got a little present for my mom. Come check it out on Sundays in Via Dusmet, right next to the fish market. Fish market has less stalls and less vendors, but then there's this flea market around here with a lot of nice antiques and other things that you can buy as a souvenir. Maybe instead of getting a souvenir from a shop, get an antique, so it's nicer, more authentic.
Yeah, that way is the church, that way is the fish market.
I lived in Catania for 5 years when I was a student, and then I worked in tourism and hospitality, so I know the city pretty well and I know how to get good value out of it, and it never disappoints. It's changed over the last 12 years, but it's still the same. I can't get over the fact, for example, that right next where I used to live is now this very cool hipster umbrella street, and back in the days we had to really be careful when going home at night because we would get mugged or jumped, so you wouldn't want to stay out in that area for too long. So it's nice to see that some areas are improving. Not far away we were staying we weren't that lucky in terms of, but that was my mistake.
No, it's still very good. The street looks dodgy, but it's generally, I'd say it's pretty safe.
Yeah, and even if we went in a very dodgy street where there used to be this, drug addicts problem and stuff, and was extremely dirty, we never really felt unsafe. You feel a little bit uneasy when you're walking around, but as long as you're street smart and you have common sense like everywhere else, it was fine.
If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, because on the next adventure we'll take you to Modica and show you how chocolate is still made like 500 years ago, visiting a full functioning water mill and having a glimpse at how people in Sicily lived a few hundred years ago.